beneath the restless waves of Earth's oceans lies a world more mysterious, more alien, and perhaps more significant to the story of life than any we could imagine. For centuries, humanity had believed that all life on Earth was fundamentally tied to the sun. Plants captured its rays, converting light into energy, and in turn, herbivores fed on plants and carnivores fed on them. Remove the sun, it was thought, and life would wither and die. This belief went unchallenged for generations. The sun was the giver of life, the unshakable center of biological possibility. But in 1977, on an expedition to a remote and little understood region of the Pacific Ocean known as the Galápagos Rift, that idea was about to be shattered forever. Aboard the research vessel Nor, operated by the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, a team of scientists prepared to send the deep-sea submersible Alvin into the depths. Their goal was to study the seafloor spreading at the rift, where tectonic plates pull apart and new ocean crust is formed. No one expected anything extraordinary. At best, they hoped to map new geological features, perhaps collect some rock samples, and better understand the Earth's dynamic crust. The Alvin, small yet incredibly resilient, had been instrumental in early deep-sea explorations. Manned by a pilot and 2 scientists, it could dive to depths of over 4,500 meters, enduring pressures so intense they could crush a conventional submarine like a soda can. As the Alvin descended into the blackness, leaving behind the last traces of sunlight, the ocean transformed into a realm of complete darkness, an eternal midnight broken only by the occasional bioluminescent flicker of passing organisms. The seafloor, when it finally came into view, was barren and rocky, just as expected. Jagged cliffs and fields of basalt stretched into the distance, the legacy of ancient volcanic activity. But then, something utterly unexpected appeared before the astonished eyes of the crew. Rising from the seafloor were tall structures, chimneys of black smoke billowing into the water. The hydrothermal vents. These vents, created by seawater percolating into the Earth's crust and emerging superheated and laden with minerals, were something new to science. The team marveled at the sight, but it was what surrounded the vents that truly defied comprehension. Instead of a lifeless wasteland, the area was teeming with life. Giant clams the size of footballs lay nestled among rocks. Pale, ghostly crabs scuttled across the seabed. Fish with translucent skin hovered in the plumes of superheated water. Most astonishing of all were the vast fields of tube worms, massive, blood-red creatures, some over 2 meters tall, waving gently in the currents. These tube worms had no mouths, no digestive tracts, no obvious means of feeding. By every known standard of biology, they should not have been alive. The scientists were stunned. Somehow, in a place with no sunlight, under crushing pressure and bathed in toxic chemicals, a thriving ecosystem had established itself. How was it possible? The answer would revolutionize biology. These creatures were not dependent on photosynthesis, but instead on a process called chemosynthesis. Symbiotic bacteria within the tube worms used the hydrogen sulfide-rich water from the vents to create organic molecules, providing energy not just for the tube worms, but for an entire ecosystem built upon chemical energy. It was a concept so alien that it forced scientists to rethink the very definition of life. Life could exist independently of the sun. Life could exist in the dark. Life could survive, even thrive, in conditions once thought utterly inhospitable. The implications rippled outwards from that first discovery. If life could exist at the bottom of Earth's oceans, nourished by chemical energy rather than sunlight, then similar life might exist elsewhere in the universe. Oceans hidden beneath the icy crusts of Jupiter's moon Europa or Saturn's moon Enceladus became tantalizing prospects. Perhaps Deep beneath their frozen surfaces, hydrothermal vents could support alien ecosystems. For the first time, scientists had a plausible model for extraterrestrial life that did not require Earth-like conditions on the surface of a planet. But the discoveries didn't stop at tube worms and clams. Over time, researchers found entire communities of creatures adapted to the vent environment. Giant isopods, blind shrimp with light-sensitive backs instead of eyes, even complex food webs built around predators and scavengers. Each new find expanded the boundaries of biology further. Moreover, hydrothermal vent ecosystems are incredibly ancient, possibly dating back hundreds of millions, or even billions of years. Some scientists propose that life itself may have originated at deep sea vents, where a steady supply of chemical energy could have powered the first primitive metabolisms. If life could emerge around deep sea vents, powered not by sunlight, but by the chemical energies of the Earth's interior, then it suggested something profound. Life might not be as fragile, rare, or dependent on specific surface conditions as previously believed. It might be robust. It might be inevitable. The realization shook the foundations of biology, forcing scientists to re-examine where and how life could arise, not just here on Earth, but across the cosmos. The idea that life began in warm, sunlit ponds, the classic primordial soup theory, began to share space with a new, darker vision. Life kindled in the abyss, nurtured by heat and minerals seeping from the Earth's veins. In the pitch-black depths, the earliest forms of metabolism could have taken hold, driven by gradients of heat, acidity, and chemical concentration. Tiny structures known as black smokers, belching mineral-rich water at temperatures of up to 400 degrees Celsius, created the perfect crucibles for complex chemistry. Within their porous walls, mineral surfaces could have acted as primitive catalysts, guiding the assembly of the molecules that would eventually give rise to RNA, proteins, and cellular life. What was once seen as an alien world, the dark seafloor, might instead be our true ancestral home. The hydrothermal vents, with their towering mineral spires and surging plumes, were not merely curiosities, but perhaps the very womb of life itself. And if that were true here, it begged a stunning question. Where else might similar cradles exist, hidden from view, waiting to be discovered? Attention soon turned outward, toward the other ocean worlds of our solar system. Europa, one of Jupiter's largest moons, quickly rose to the forefront of scientific imagination. Beneath its fractured, icy surface lies a vast, global ocean of liquid water, kept warm by the tidal flexing of Europa's rocky core. If hydrothermal activity occurs on Europa's seafloor, as many models suggest, then it might host environments strikingly similar to those around Earth's vents. Could life exist there, clinging to mineral spires in an eternal darkness, drawing sustenance from chemical gradients just as Earth's vent creatures do? Saturn's moon Enceladus offered another tantalizing possibility. In 2005, NASA's Cassini spacecraft observed towering plumes of water vapor erupting from cracks near Enceladus's south pole. Analysis of the plumes revealed salts, organic molecules, and even tiny grains of silica. Signs that liquid water interacts with rocky material beneath the moon's surface. Here again was the blueprint: an ocean in contact with a rocky core, potential hydrothermal activity, chemical energy, all the necessary ingredients for life as we understand it, without a need for sunlight. These discoveries triggered a quiet revolution in astrobiology. No longer was the search for extraterrestrial life restricted to Earth-like planets orbiting sun-like stars. Instead, attention shifted to the hidden oceans, the warm interiors of icy worlds, the dark and secret places where life might thrive, not because of a star's warmth, but because of the inner fire of a planet or moon itself. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the more scientists studied hydrothermal vents, the more astonishing the ecosystems appeared. New species were found with each dive, bizarre, alien forms of life that seem better suited to science fiction than reality. Giant tube worms, some growing over 2 meters long, clams with blood-red gills, shrimp that navigated by sensing heat rather than light, microbes capable of metabolizing toxic chemicals like hydrogen sulfide and methane, weaving them into the building blocks of life. Entire food webs existed without any reliance on photosynthesis. Primary producers were not green plants or algae, but colonies of chemosynthetic bacteria. Larger organisms fed directly on these microbes or on creatures that had symbiotic relationships with them. In some cases, animals had evolved specialized organs filled with bacteria, essentially outsourcing their digestion and survival to microbial partners. It was a complete inversion of the familiar terrestrial ecosystem model, and it worked beautifully. But this was only the beginning. Over the years, researchers discovered that hydrothermal vent ecosystems were not confined to the Galápagos Rift. They existed along mid-ocean ridges around the world, from the Atlantic to the Indian Ocean. Even in the deepest, most remote trenches, life thrived where it seemingly should not. Each new vent field revealed creatures more bizarre than the last: bright white crabs, eyeless fish, worms with elaborate plumes or armored scales. The adaptations of these organisms were nothing short of extraordinary. To survive in the extreme temperatures, often swinging from near freezing to boiling in just a few meters, required specialized proteins that could function under incredible stress. Despite these hostile conditions, life at hydrothermal vents is astonishingly abundant and diverse. Bacteria and archaea, thriving without sunlight, are at the base of the food chain, forming thick microbial mats on rocks and vent chimneys. These microorganisms use chemosynthesis to convert chemical energy into organic material, fueling entire ecosystems. In turn, otherworldly creatures such as giant tube worms, vent crabs, and ghostly fish depend on these microbes either directly or indirectly for their survival. Each organism at the vent is a marvel of adaptation, fine-tuned to endure extremes that would kill most surface life in moments. Among the most fascinating inhabitants are the giant tube worms, Riftia pachytela, growing over 2 meters long without a mouth or digestive system. Instead, they host symbiotic bacteria within their bodies that perform chemosynthesis, converting sulfur compounds into nourishment. It's a relationship that defies our typical understanding of food webs and symbiosis, showcasing how life can adapt to thrive on chemistry alone. The discovery of these creatures in the late 1970s was nothing short of revolutionary, fundamentally altering scientists' conceptions of what life needs to exist. The hydrothermal vents themselves are not permanent structures. They are ephemeral, lasting decades to centuries before geological activity shifts and shuts them down. As vents go cold, the once thriving ecosystems must either migrate to new active sites or perish. This dynamic forces continuous adaptation and resilience among vent organisms, creating an evolutionary pressure cooker beneath the waves. Some researchers have even hypothesized that early life forms could have developed the ability to survive in transient habitats precisely because of these fluctuating environments. The notion that life could originate at hydrothermal vents has profound implications, not only for Earth's history, but for the search for extraterrestrial life as well. If life could arise and persist in such extreme, lightless conditions fueled only by chemical energy, it broadens the possible environments where life might exist beyond Earth. Oceans hidden beneath the icy shells of moons like Europa and Enceladus could host similar vent systems on their sea floors, offering protected, energy-rich havens for alien life. studies of the vent's microbial inhabitants have revealed remarkable biochemical innovations. Some archaea can survive temperatures up to 122 degrees Celsius, pushing the known limits of life. Others endure intense pressure, high concentrations of toxic metals, and fluctuations in pH that would destroy most known organisms. The metabolic pathways these extremophiles employ, especially the use of hydrogen, methane, and sulfur compounds, offer clues to the kinds of chemical reactions that early life might have relied upon. They also inform our search for biosignatures, the chemical signs of life on other worlds. Recent research has even suggested that simple organic molecules, the building blocks of life, can spontaneously form around hydrothermal vents under the right conditions. Laboratory experiments simulating vent environments have produced amino acids, the precursors to proteins, and lipid molecules, which are essential components of cell membranes. In 2020, scientists managed to replicate key steps in the origin of metabolism by mimicking vent-like conditions, supporting the idea that life's essential chemistry could have kickstarted in these dark, churning depths. But the vents tell a story not only of beginnings, but also of endurance. Even today, as Earth's surface undergoes constant change, from mass extinctions to shifting continents, life at hydrothermal vents remains remarkably stable and ancient. These ecosystems may be among the oldest continuous habitats on Earth, offering a living window into the planet's primordial past. They are time capsules, preserving echoes of a world where life first found a foothold in the most unlikely of places. Exploration of the vents has not been easy. The crushing pressures and total darkness of the deep ocean demand advanced technology for human study. Manned submersibles, like Alvin, and robotic explorers, like the Jason remotely operated vehicle, have pushed the boundaries of underwater exploration. Their cameras and instruments have revealed breathtaking images of vent fields, shimmering with heat and teeming with strange life. Each dive brings new surprises, from bizarre new species to unexpected chemical phenomena, continually expanding our understanding of the deep biosphere. And as we gaze outward into the solar system, these findings guide our imaginations. If hydrothermal systems could seed and sustain life on early Earth, then they could do so elsewhere. Under the frozen surfaces of distant moons, beneath the crushing atmospheres of faraway planets, in the unlit oceans of alien worlds, wherever there is rock, water, and energy. Wherever there is rock, water, and energy, the fundamental ingredients for life may be quietly conspiring, sculpting chemistry into complexity. These are not just abstract conditions. They are real, measurable, and increasingly common across our solar system. From the icy shells of Europa and Enceladus to the ancient subsurface of Mars, evidence mounts that these key elements are not rare. They may, in fact, be woven into the very fabric of planetary evolution. And if these worlds mirror, even faintly, the deep sea environments of early Earth, the spark of life may not be confined to a single pale blue dot. This realization transforms the search for life from a distant hope into a focused mission. Rather than scanning the skies for civilizations or listening for radio signals, scientists are now plumbing the depths, both terrestrial and extraterrestrial. The logic is elegant. If hydrothermal systems once gave rise to life on Earth, then similar conditions elsewhere could lead to similar outcomes. It's not wishful thinking, it's chemistry, repeating itself under the right conditions, following laws as old as the stars. Deep-sea vents offer a working blueprint. They teach us that life doesn't require a planet bathed in sunlight, only one that harbors internal heat, water, and reactive minerals. And many worlds in our solar system fit that bill. Moons like Europa are sheathed in ice, but beneath that shell lies a vast ocean warmed by tidal forces from Jupiter. That energy creates the potential for hydrothermal activity at the seafloor, exactly the kind of environment where Earth's first organisms may have emerged. Then there's Enceladus, Saturn's icy moon, which ejects towering plumes of water vapor and organic molecules into space. These geysers, detected by the Cassini spacecraft, hint at a subterranean ocean rich in chemistry and possibly hydrothermal in nature. Scientists now suspect Enceladus might have active vents at its ocean floor, environments nearly identical to those that birthed life here. A future probe passing through those plumes could sniff out biosignatures, chemical fingerprints of living processes. If successful, it would be one of the most profound discoveries in human history, and the implications wouldn't stop at Enceladus. If life can arise independently in more than one place in our solar system, then it becomes unlikely that Earth is an exception. Life could be a cosmic inevitability, not a fluke. It might be hiding beneath the crust of Mars, within the methane lakes of Titan, or drifting in the clouds of Venus. The more we learn, the more the universe begins to feel alive. Not teeming with intelligent life, perhaps, but seeded throughout with biology in its simplest, most resilient forms. It's not only about finding life, it's about understanding our own origins. To grasp how life began here is to better understand who we are and how rare, or common, we might be. That's why scientists are pushing technology to its limits. Upcoming missions will carry instruments capable of detecting organic molecules, measuring isotopic ratios, and imaging distant oceans beneath layers of ice. Some will drill, others will fly, but all will seek one thing: the answer to the question that's haunted humanity for centuries. Are we alone? If vents gave rise to life once, they might have done it many times. And that brings us back to the heart of the mystery. At the boundary between geology and biology, hydrothermal systems reveal the power of planetary processes to create order from chaos. They are the crucibles where lifeless matter was stirred, heated, and catalyzed into metabolism, replication, and eventually evolution. In this way, the vents are not just ancient, they are elemental. They represent nature's most primal attempt at life. The more we study these places, the more patterns emerge. From the mineral-rich walls of black smokers to the alkaline chimneys of lost city fields, we see the same geochemical reactions over and over again. Hydrogen mixing with carbon dioxide, heat driving molecular synthesis, gradients of pH creating natural energy sources. It is a repeating motif, a universal script etched into stone and water, guiding non-life into life. This process may have unfolded a billion times across the cosmos, and still, we've only scratched the surface. Earth's oceans remain vastly unexplored, and each new expedition uncovers new vent fields, new species, and new chemistries. Life is endlessly inventive, evolving in response to heat, pressure, and chemical flux. In these extreme environments, we see evolution stripped to its raw mechanics: adapt or die. The pressure isn't metaphorical down there. It's literal, constant, and crushing. But life doesn't flinch. It adapts.